Alright, to start off the new year, I've decided to follow a traditional Army-Men tradition and show off my Army-Men collection, all of which I mostly accumulated over 2023. Although one of the Army-Men figures I did collect the start of this year. So just a warning, I'm a new creator in the Army-Men community, so my collection isn't that large or substantial. The most expensive things here are just OG Timmy and BMC. Not anything too rare. So yeah, let's get into it. Well, I guess we start with the basic Army-Men most people have. At least here in the US, and that's Timmy. Good old Timmy, huh? I bought one bag of mixed green and tan soldiers, and another of just pure tan soldiers. They're equipped with 50s and 60s era equipment, with the M16 rifle being paired with several poses, as well as other soldiers carrying the Stoner 63 machine gun, flamethrowers, bazookas or recoilless rifles, and mortars. Unfortunately, as you can see here, the green Timmy soldiers here are dwarfed by the larger group of tan Timmys. That's because I bought a second bag of only tan soldiers to boost their body count, since I used some of them to make poses for a custom character. I hate that I only have this one idle soldier pose currently for the Timmy greens, but eventually I will buy more of them just to bolster the troop count. Luckily, in the meantime, I do have more green Timmys to fill their place, but not what you think. So here are what I believe are vintage green Timmy soldier molds. They are highly detailed with small things like clear fabric impressions and their faces actually looking like humans, rather than indistinguishable messes like the bootleg ones. There's also no made in China printed anywhere. If I'm wrong about these being legit, then let me know. They're in a darker shade of green in comparison to the more newer and glossier Timmy soldiers. I'm not sure about what the quality control process was like back in the day, but unfortunately these older Timmy soldiers have quite a bit more leftover flashing on them in comparison to the new poses. But other than that, they're pretty much identical. I nabbed these guys from a Savers Drift store in a baggie for only $1, and I'd say it was worth it. Well, somewhat keeping on the topic of Timmy, here are some knockoffs and replicas of them. To start off, here are some hideous green Timmy knockoffs I found at a swap meet. They're very fragile though. I'm not sure if that was a result of just poor manufacturing or the package they were in being left out in the sun. Right, here's a comparison of one of these freaks compared to a high quality Timmy mold. As you can see, the Timmy mold actually looks like a human, unlike our bloated friend here, who looks like he got stung by bees multiple times, and his face caved in by a frying pan. The paint quality also has a lot to be desired. Unfortunately, this is all just a common trait among Timmy clones where all the details like clothing impressions and facial details are masked because of the poor quality printing. Oh, and one last thing for these green guys. For some reason, they don't have any crouching M16 riflemen. All they have is this broken guy with no hands or feet. Maybe a result of a printing error or a psycho kid, who knows. It'll make a great corpse, I guess. As for the tans in the same set, they're an interesting light tan color. Maybe they've been sun bleached for sitting out for so long. I also have two crouching M16s too, at the very least for them. Otherwise, they're exactly the same as the greens in appearance. By the way, the whole set is called Delta Force Combat Soldiers. I could barely tell this through the surviving legible text on this destroyed cardboard. Here's a bonus knockoff Timmy soldier. I don't know what brand this is, all I remember is I got it from a dollar store ages ago. I have 3 of these guys. One's a crouching M16 man, a mortar man, and a getting shot pose. These poses are slightly better than the Delta Force soldiers since it's not as bloated, but the OG Timmy are still better in design overall. Next, we'll cover my true hero poses. All of my true heroes I bought either at Swap Meet or at Goodwill, then I combined them to what I have here. Now, it's arguable if they are considered knockoffs of Timmy, but you can definitely see True Heroes does take a lot of inspiration from them. Though what I like about True Heroes is they try to have some differentiation. For example, the idle poses of the soldier holding a pistol and Binox has them actually aiming the pistol straight forwards, so that it actually is usable in different scenarios. Another change would be the flamethrower guy crouching down with one knee on the ground. But my favorite change, at least for me, would be the True Heroes machine gunner, which removes the bipod on the machine gun. Now, without the bipod, the machine gun on the True Heroes figure is able to have the entire barrel clear over the barrier or any cover the machine gun is hiding behind. Something which a standard Timmy gunner can't entirely do since the bipod is in the way. Though the bipod does serve an important function for the machine gunner figure. Since the machine gunner doesn't have a base below him, he instead has to rely on the bipod to provide balance and stability. Something which the True Heroes version doesn't have, unfortunately. Back onto the topic of knockoffs, I have these guys. I don't know what they're knockoffs of, but they scale decently in 132 and 135 scale. So far, I only have 2 of these running guys. 5 of them are riflemen shooting their pretty small guns, and 5 more guys yelling to advance or getting shot. They're pretty unique poses at the end of the day, at least in my collection. Okay, enough about figures relating to Timmy and anything similar. Let's now move on to the BMC soldiers I have. We'll begin with the BMC Marks classic US Army figures. Now, unlike Timmy, these poses are World War II themed. The specific set includes dynamic poses that mostly aren't really suited for combat situations. These poses are mainly soldiers running to their position with equipment or just taking cover and preparing their gear. Don't get me started on the parachute related poses, which I probably won't even use much for my stop motions. Now, the main reason why I bought this set in the first place is to get my hands on one special pose, the sitting pose. With this guy, I could have him drive or sit in different locations of vehicles, especially open top vehicles like this Jeep here. Else it would look awkward to have a Jeep just drive around with an invisible driver. Of course, I don't want to entirely dismiss the other cool figures that come with this set. I actually modified some of the poses to be used by custom characters like Captain Powers and Sergeant Major Phalanx. Though the other poses are still cool too, like the 2 guys carrying the 30 cal machine gun and the ammo for it. These all make very good poses for background and foreground characters. Now we shall move on to our final main group of army men. Or should I say, army women? These are the BMC Plastic Army Women. In the lore of my series, both women and men are going to be fighting in equal. The Army Women are not going to be some elite fighting force like how other creators may portray them. They're equally fudged like the standard Army Men in the series. What I love about these figures is a variety of poses they all come in. Hell, they even have a dog figure. They're all themed around US World War II uniforms and equipment. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure women in the US military didn't have any major active combat roles in service. Not like I care though, since my series isn't based on much on history either. My only gripes are there is no sitting in pose, so they could ride in vehicles or sit in chairs and stuff. Another minor pet peeve is that I can't really decide what to do with the Rosie the Riveter pose. Now, we finished up the main bulk of the soldiers that I have. Now I will present to you some of the custom characters I fabricated from some of them. We begin at my Captain Powers figure. He's basically just a standard BMC World War II soldier with a power symbol painted on his helmet. Nothing much to say, really. He's voiced by the talented Kiwi World. Our second in line is the Tan Sergeant, or should I say the Tan Sergeant Major. I've had to fix that since a lieutenant outranks a sergeant in real life. It wouldn't make sense for him to be ordering around Phalanx, so that's why I changed it. Detail-wise, he's basically just a true hero's figure, with painted on shades and a crack pipe attached. I only intended for him to appear once in the series, which is episode 2 of Army Men in Arms, but maybe there's a chance up for him to appear in a flashback sequence. Who knows? Next we have the former Lieutenant Phalanx, voiced by the ever-excellent Berlin Actual. He's probably the most unique design from the bunch, given he has a riot helmet on. Phalanx is based on a BMC World War II soldier, similar to Captain Powers. However, I added cardstock paper onto the sides of his helmet and added a plastic visor from clear packaging I got, which gives him that riot gear look. Finally, we got here the new Tan Sergeant Alphonse model. He's a modified Timmy pose. This model is actually an updated look. Originally, Alphonse was actually an Airfix knockoff figure, like everyone else in episode 1 of Army Men in Arms. However, Airfix does not scale very well with 132 or 135 figures, so that's why I updated his appearance. I also added more stuff on his helmet to better differentiate him from other Timmy figures. I also later plan to update Corporal Patterson's model soon, too. And I have a specific pose in mind. By the way, the box these figures are standing in contain all the different poses for each specific character. Those were all the essential army figures in my collection. Now we will cover the other figures I have, but won't be using often, or at all. First off, here's the entirety of all of my knockoff Airfix soldiers. I used them in episode 1 of Army Men in Arms, but I decided to stop using them, as they do not scale well with the Timmy and BMC figures at 132 and 135 scale. I also don't want to put in the effort in organizing and displaying these guys, since I intend to not use them anyways. Our next group of figures aren't really army men. The first set are medieval knights. Obviously, I have no clue what to do with these guys. In all probability, they'll probably serve as decorations for some rich guy. Then we have cowboys and Native Americans. The Native Americans would look out of place in my videos, but the cowboys just might work as some sort of civilians, I suppose. Finally, we have this one lone bootleg German soldier. Since I only have one of him, I can't do much with him at the moment. This guy randomly came with the Airfix knockoffs I shown earlier. Well, we've covered all of my army figures. Let's now move on to the equipment and vehicles they use. First, we'll cover BMC's Green Army Men camp equipment. It comes with an M1917 machine gun, a 50 cal machine gun, a 105mm recoilless rifle, and a super bazooka. The recoilless rifle I modified to become a Davy Crockett nuclear warhead launcher, but that's for another time. The set also includes other items like tents and amenities, but we're mainly covering weapons. Next on the topic of non-vehicle air equipment, we will talk about the robot and this artillery gun. As you can see, this robot really stands out from most things here. Of course, I'll explain its canon lore in future episodes, but for now, all you need to know is this robot is from a toy line I got from a Dollar Tree called Final Faction. The toy itself is called the X4 turret. Originally, it shot out 2 missiles, but they were too easy to accidentally fire and lose, so I replaced them with autocannons instead. I also painted the eye red. The artillery gun next to it is the infamous 30-pounder gun, as seen in Plastic Apocalypse. It's actually an official artillery gun, Oh, and the wheels were painted like that when I bought it. Now we move on to the actual vehicles. We'll start small with this golf cart sized Jeep. It's obviously not in the best shape, but I plan on restoring it in the future with a new coat of paint and restoring some of the metal furnishings. It's from a vintage brand called Tootsie Toys. Another Jeep I have is this vintage Timmy Jeep. I found it alongside those vintage Timmy soldiers I found previously. I gave it extra stickers from a spare Timmy sticker sheet I had just to improve its appearance. Unfortunately, the bumper has a broken off piece on its right side. What I have next to it is a Inoue Humvee. I found it all alone at a Goodwill store. Unfortunately, it's hard to have soldiers sit in it though. Moving on to a much larger vehicle, here is a Timmy M34 cargo truck. I have two of them, one being green and the other tan. It's a very cool truck. You can remove the top off to get access to the inside cargo bay, or just have it as a straight flatbed truck. You can put the equipment in here or even have sitting soldiers. The truck also comes with two sticker sheets to attach the stars and other symbols on it. Some spare stickers I even attached to the old Timmy Jeep I have shown before. Okay, now we are getting to the thick boys now. The ones with armor. Here's a wheeled vehicle I have. I bought it from a swap meet flea market, but I have no idea of the original brand of this vehicle. Luckily, a cool guy on Discord called... Yeah, instead of butchering your name, I'm just gonna refer to you as Davey 2.0. He showed the same vehicle, which also included a turret, which was gray and tan in scheme. But the turret seemed to be for an anti-air use. So based on this, I did some research, and this toy is based on a German Wildcat 30mm turret mounted on a TPZ fudge hole. It seems that the turret on this toy was meant to be removable, considering that they actually bothered to model a seat for a crewman to sit in. So I think I can use this as an APC, an anti-air vehicle, or possibly even an IFV. And right besides it, there's this M3 Lee. It's a Tamiya M3 Lee model. Unfortunately, I don't plan on using it in combat scenes, since it doesn't vibe very well with the Cold War modern era army men and its equipment. I'll mainly just have it as a backdrop decor as like some sort of scrap tank. Next we jump to the tanks everyone and their dog has in their army men collection, and it's the Timmy M48 Patton and the knockoffs of it. I have 4 green ones and 3-ish tan ones. This True Heroes one has a gaping hole on the side of its turret though. Of all 7 Pattons, only one of them is an authentic Timmy Patton. The rest are just True Heroes or some miscellaneous bootleg brand. On the topic of Pattons, I'll move on to one of the elephants in the room, and it's this. This is a custom-built paper model M48A5 105 Patton with a bulldozer apparatus, and it's somewhat up to 135 scale. The turret and the top-mounted machine guns can rotate 360 degrees. It's the first custom accurate-ish scaled paper model vehicle I have introduced in the series so far. Since my name is Paper Thin Armor, I intend to add more paper model props into the series to stay true to the name. Keeping with paper model tanks, here's the old Sheridan model I used. Keyword, old. I plan on making a custom upscaled version that's more accurate to a 132 scale, and actually have it in a more tan color. This current model is at 150 scale. The model isn't an original custom I made, and it was only assembled by me. The original template originated from the old World of Tanks RU website where they had paper models included, but they no longer have paper models there anymore. here's the last tank in my collection. I felt the tans were a bit understocked with their equipment in comparison to the greens, so I gave them this marvel of engineering. This T80UD model from a hit brand called Skiff. Like mostly everything, I got it from a swap meet for like 15 bucks. Unfortunately, it didn't have the machine gun and the hatches, so I had to custom make them with card paper by hand. You almost can't even tell it's paper because of the paint I applied. I actually made this hatch openable for a crewman to pop out of. Interestingly, this model kit also arrived with bonus unrelated parts, which included these rubber tracks and these figures. What's even better is 3 of them are in a sitting position and one of them is an important looking figure. So I took the opportunity to make that the tan general. These tracks also have a thinner width than the T80 and seem to be for a thinner, lighter vehicle. It reminds me of the BRM-1K tracks, but I may be wrong and it might not even be of Soviet origin at all. In fact, I don't even know the brand or model kits these figures and these tracks come from. So if you know, tell me in the comments. On to the last 2 vehicles in my collection. Here is my aircraft. So far the greens seem to have the supremacy in aircraft, as the tans don't have any. First off, here's a True Heroes attack helicopter. I think it's an Apache. It's not accurate to a 1/32 scale though. I guess it would work as a drone. So, skimming past that, the real star of the Green Air Force would be this. This is a 1/32 scale MiG-15 model. I picked this creature up at, you guessed it, swap meet. I bought it as is, and it's obviously in Chinese PLA livery. The previous owner of this model really put love into this model, as usually jets that I have seen usually have a basic silver base color. But this one actually has camouflage on it, and it's gorgeous. However, since I bought it as used, the front landing gear is unfortunately missing, as well as this side plate near the tail on the left. Don't know what that's called. I'm not an expert on aircraft, to be honest, so do tell me if you do know in the comments. Of course, I will attempt to substitute those with paper card if I can. So yeah, that's my entire collection. I'll attempt to use all these in my Armament series if I can. This video has gone long enough now, so toodles!